the volume.
Turn up the volume.
You've arrived at the destination for all things Kentucky. This is the Bleed Blue Network Podcast.
What is going on, Big Blue Nation? The first episode of All UK Ball Podcast. Bleed Blue Rando here, and I'm with KySass. How you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
I am doing good. You surviving the weather out there?
Yeah, it's been a little crazy lately. We had a round of storms move through yesterday. There was a really lower shade on the ground last night that did quite a bit of damage. But we're surviving. We're getting there.
Well, prayers out to everybody in Kentucky. I'm in Colorado Springs, and not to rub it in, it is gorgeous. I was outside getting some sun yesterday.
That's rubbing it in, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, my dad's out there in Richmond. He said it wasn't too bad where he was at, but prayers to everybody out there. The weather tried to hold us down from keeping this podcast going, but we're up early morning, getting it going. I know we're both excited for the All UK Ball Podcast and getting it out there. But this episode, we just wanted to talk about how we became fans, and it's pretty cool. Me and Sass have different ways we became UK fans. For me, I was born in Orlando. My folks lived down there. They end up separating, and my dad, some years later, moved to Kentucky. So I had no connections to Kentucky before. I had no idea what it was like. Young teenager goes to Kentucky as he moves up there. And Sass, as you know, Big Blue Nation quickly indoctrinates you into the fandom.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You have two choices. You either bleed blue or you just get kind of forgotten about up there in northern Kentucky if you decided to be a Cards fan. And I was going to make that mistake.
I'm from Northern Kentucky. Come on now.
There's a small red part of that state there, but no, we quickly met some friends. They immediately took me to the Richmond Mall, which isn't even a thing anymore. Mm-hmm. And I got my first Kentucky hoodie. I was judged. So again, little thing about it, about being red. I didn't know any better as a young buck, but I had a red hoodie with a Kentucky Wildcat logo, which Going back now, that they shouldn't even have made that. Like, they set me up for failure, but that's what it was. I still have the hat that I got. And so I went back and forth. I went to school in Florida, and it was summers and winters in Kentucky. And I tell you what, I fell in love with the state, with the people, and with the program, the UK program, everything that they had with athletics, especially basketball. Mm-hmm. And it just was like a quick, like I said, just baptism into everything Kentucky athletics. And really, as I was growing up in it was the John Calipari Kentucky basketball program. That's why I fell in love with him and everything that he brought to it. And it's evolved since then, and now we're getting into it with the Mark Pope era, which I'm excited about. But that's kind of how I became a fan of the program. Mm-hmm. And then you have an experience just for being from Kentucky. How was that?
Yeah, so people who were born here get it. It is something that when you're born in Kentucky and you're like your family UK fan, that's it. That's all you know. And it's from the little girls having the tiny little like cheerleading or like basketball outfits that they wear around, the boys having their little jerseys, and it's just something that you're brought up in. And it was so funny to me. I remember specifically being in elementary school, and a guy in my class was a Duke fan, and I was like, that was just so inconceivable to me when I was like 9 or 10, and I was like, hold on, you're what? Why? Like, how are you living in Kentucky and you're a Duke fan? Like, make this make sense to me.
You got to throw him out. Just,
Like, I was like, this is wrong. You are wrong. But then it was kind of like, as you go older, you learn more about the tradition and the history of it, right? So I remember watching the Patino teams and like how crazy good they were, the Tubby era, and then we went to Billie G era, and that was like, ooh, and that was a rough time for a lot of UK fans. We came off such a huge high. So I'm not saying the program doesn't have history of having like bad lows, because they do, right? Like the Sutton era was not good, just because of all the things that went on in the background, all the trouble we got into. It was not good. And so it was really hard for fans to come off of those highs and sink into the embarrassment that was the Billie G era, which was short, but it was an embarrassment. They said Cal came in, right? And like he completely transformed the landscape of UK basketball. And I think it brought so many more people in, and it made the people who love the program fall in love with it even more. So you have all these fans that were already diehard, and now they're just like the passion to the next level for UK. And then that era, it started off pretty rough. Like when it was first announced, it was not good. Like the directions are not good, but now the fan base have really bought into it, and we're like behind him, and as evident by the fact that we packed a Rep Arena for a press conference. Like, but yeah, growing up in UK, like in Kentucky in general, like the UK fan, it's something you're literally born into. It's so weird to not be a part of it.
Yeah, and I was there starting in 04, 05. So, some good years, and then the Gillespie years, and then transition into Cal. And for me, it wasn't growing up, born and raised in Kentucky, but I feel like, the years where you do grow up, those early teenage years into college, I was living in Kentucky right there in Richmond, not far from Lexington. And that area is just all blue. And I truly do. Like, I could not wait to do my yearly trip driving from Tampa to Kentucky to be there for the Louisville game that happened in the wintertime, and it's been, and watching the football program turn around and what Stoops is doing. We're solely talking about basketball so far, but what Stoops has done for the football team has made that exciting too.
Agree.
So the whole athletics department is blowing up. We got so many talented individuals that are in the UK program. We're going to talk about the women's basketball team here in a little bit. But from rifle, gymnastics, who saw the baseball team being a potential number one seed?
Right.
It's an exciting time for Big Blue Nation. It's an exciting time for us as we start this podcast. And we got so much to cover. So we went over kind of how we became fans, and once you become a fan, like once you're pulled in, you ain't never getting let go.
You
right?
Can't let go. Like you can't separate yourself from it. It is what it is, and it's a part of you. It's the craziest thing.
And what I've noticed is as I get older, it hurts more when you lose. The wins mean more. I'm always like standing up at the TV, losing my mind as the games are going. And I thought as I would age, I would calm down. That has actually gone the opposite. I'm now more excessive in my fandom, I'll say.
So have you noticed that UK fans are also extremely superstitious?
Yes. Oh yeah. For
like
100%.
Extremely. And I am one of those people. So for instance, like I wore a UK sweatshirt one of the games this year, and I lost during a game again. I won't do it because they lost. And that, like, I know some Twitter people, shout out TV. He cleans during UK games, football, basketball. He'll start cleaning his house. It's like sort of like a superstition thing. Yeah, we take it, I think, to a whole new level of things that we do.
Yep, it is 100%. I had my routine. It would wake up, it was gym, and then I'd come back. I'd have the same blue Celsius. That's how it would go. I would have my UK cup here. Yep,
blue C4 here. Yep.
I had my UK cup filled with a little bit of bourbon, and if whatever jersey or shirt I was wearing, it didn't change until we lost, and then I was like, okay, the power has in this outfit has run out, and it's time to find a new one. But I gotten a big C jersey, and it came to me the day of the Alabama game. So I had the jersey on, and we smacked Alabama in the mouth, and I was like, "This is the jersey taking us to the Final Four, taking us to the Final Four."
This is it. Woo!
Yeah, that one unfortunately quickly ran out of power. And it didn't happen. But Jack Golke stole the power. But buddy, wherever you are, man, I appreciate you. I really do. You talked about Pope and the craziness that went from, hey, we're hiring Scott Drew to he doesn't want it, and then we're going to offer Dan Hurley the bag, and then, all right, we're just going to wait for Billy Donovan to end his season. And right in the middle of all that, out of nowhere was Mark Pope, and we were actually live on a space when the news dropped, kind of late night before it hit, big news the next morning, and it was loud. It was not an exciting
not nice.
Loud.
Mm-mm.
And then you fast forward to the weekend, and I'm sitting here. I was holding my phone for that entire press conference on the TV because I downloaded the Lex 18 app or however I watched it from Colorado. Yeah. And I did a video afterwards that, to be honest, no one really cared about, but I had to express my feelings. I was so excited after that press conference and watching the old team come out and seeing Rupp Arena packed out. I think that's the biggest regret of not being able to live in Lexington, is like missing something like that, because I would have loved to have been there. But it was he got done with that press conference, and I was like, we got our guy. I was so excited. Just, we spent the last however many minutes going over how we became fans and how, awesome it is to be a part of Big Blue Nation. And then to see a coach who I legit believe in, knows how to coach, but also understands the fandom piece of this is exciting. That's
the biggest part for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He just truly understands. He gets what it is to be. To get, what it is to have played for the university and also been a fan. I mean, you see his goofy CAT videos.
That is so bad.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But he just seems like he's stayed a fan and stayed a part of it for so long. And then we have a whole rebirth of fans coming back out. There was, I don't want to say there was a divide, but there was definitely a Rick Pitino fan. Yeah, there was a Rick Pitino fan base, that is now back, especially, since the last, 5 years under the Cal era. But, it's very exciting. I'm excited for what he's done. He's gone out there and crushed the portal and getting players who he believes in. He's done, I think, even better than the players the coaching staff that he's put together, because I think that's
I am so impressed with, so people are BBN is so impatient, and we know this, and as fans we can be impatient too, right? We want news, we want things to happen, we want to know, we want to be in the know. But if you think about the time frame that Mark Pope and staff, and for a while it's just Mark Pope, put all of this together, it is actually truly impressive. So he was on staff or on campus and on site, a week and a half before he had a full staff line now. And it was bam, 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 right? And then he hired a rock star staff. Rock star. Cody is an offensive genius. Jason Hart and AB3, they are recruiting gurus, especially AB3. AB3 is a shark, right? And then Mark Fox is like really defensive minded and like really good at kind of like player regulation, player management type of thing. And so then you have this rock star staff, and then they hit the ground running. And as soon as they all got here, it was like boom, 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 literally boom, 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 everywhere. And that was super exciting for UK fans, obviously. And I also love how interactive the staff is with the fan base. That was missing for so long before. And it wasn't always like that. So before, when Cal first started, it was they had interactions, right? They were in front of the camera, they were doing things. Then it kind of like became a very closed camp. And now they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, right? They're doing booms, doing like the music videos that AB3 puts out after a commitment. Like that stuff was missing, and it's done even more to like bring the fan base in and be a part of the team. And that's what Mark Pope said. He goes, "It's not my team. It's not." And I think that is a huge thing that they've done for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been exciting. They, we talked about Pope understanding it. It seems like these guys, especially AB, his dad being a part of it, he understands all of it. And so you have like they're fun and exciting, and they also know ball. They know how to recruit. You just got to hope that we get them for a little while because they're so impressive. And I do think they're going to have success. But do we get them and again, kind of keep this core group for a couple of years to see how good they can be? And hopefully they don't get poached to do
that's the thing. Yeah.
Different jobs, because you're not going to get a better job than being a part of a Kentucky staff, but you might get something elevated that'll help your career out if you have different kind of coaching aspirations. But leaning on the basketball team, outside of Ansley, small little tease, who is your favorite pickup so far that Pope has gotten?
Oh, that's a hard one. Okay. Oh no, that's okay. They all have their strengths. Okay, don't get me wrong. They all have their strengths. I love them all so far, right? I love the team. Now, I will say Andrew Carr was a G for literally taking his visit to Nova, I think, and then promised later, "Hey, I'm coming to UK." Like, didn't even like get out of the state. It's like, "I'm coming to UK." That's cool. Now, I think that some players are undervalued, obviously. Some players will be more popular because they're from the state. I get it. I am very excited to see KySass and his attitude and his sass on the court, especially with this fan base. He had a really rough year in West Virginia, but to be fair, that team was not good.
Yeah.
It was not a good team. You look at him at Arizona, completely different player. Starter on some really, really good Arizona teams. So I'm very excited to see his attitude come out with his fan base, because we're going to feed it, obviously, right? Like we're going to encourage him to be sassy, which I love. What else am I excited for? I'm also excited to see Garrison develop. I think he has so much potential. He's so athletic. And I think it'll be really exciting to see him develop with Amari Williams, but like playing with him. That'll be really exciting. And then Trent Noah as well.
Trent Noah. Some of the videos he's different.
Out. He's different.
He's a bucket getter. Yeah. Well, we were excited. We were excited about Travis Perry, but you watch some of these, and dude's got bounce. Like he's a sneaky athlete. He does not look like he should be as athletic as
exactly. He's a sneaky athlete. Yep.
Wow, he was. I mean, he off the backboard yamming it, just like good grief. Things that I wish I could do.
I think he'll surprise people for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think he's going to be good. He's definitely a get. And the last time we said we were going to have a Kentucky boy in the program for a while, he decided to become a top 5 draft pick. It's looking like. Hopefully,
you didn't see that coming.
We did. No, nobody did. And then we also we're trying to spend most of the offseason convincing ourselves he was coming back. But
optimism.
Yeah,
optimism.
We were hoping. We're like, that's why we hired Mark Pope. He's bringing back Shepard.
He's keeping Reed. Woo!
Yep, that's right. Now I just have to add to my collection of NBA jerseys for supporting our UK boys. So for me, it's Otega Owe. Like who I'm excited for him. He's shifty. Like we went from Rob with the shifts So we're going to have Ortega, where he's not the same kind of player, but he's bigger and he's
really strong, physical. Yeah.
He's got handles. He's coming from a conference where, he knows how to play with the big boys, and he can get to the bucket. I'm excited for him on this team, especially if he's going to be, in that 6-man role coming off the bench and kind of giving us that electricity, coming in at that 5-6 minute mark. I think he can somebody who can instantly, put him in the offense, and now you change it. You change the dynamic of what the offense looks like, where it goes from whoever the stars are going to be, running and gunning, a lot of 3 balls going up, playing the analytics to where you can get this guy the basketball and just say, buddy, go get a bucket, like get there. And then it's probably second for me is Lamont Butler. And that's just because of the experience that he brings from a Final Four, having somebody who knows what it's like to, as the clock's running down, put a ball up in the air and seeing it go in to take your team to the national championship game. That's experience that it's tough to find, and we got him. We got him on our roster, and his leadership is not to be understated either. We had one of the Aztec basketball guys on one of the spaces, and he compared the dude to Kobe Bryant. Right. And I know that's a wild take, but he was just like, when this guy is in the building and you see his work ethic, everybody has to step their game up. Right. It's like bringing in Tom Brady from New England to Tampa Bay. Right. It's like you see him, he's in the building.
The whole thing elevated.
Yep. Everybody has to step up. The equipment managers got to step it up. The chefs got to step it up. Everybody got to step it up because you have the greatest of all time in your building. So now you got a dude who has gone deep in NCAA tournament, has built himself up into this now Kentucky basketball player. And everybody who's going to follow him and see what he's doing is going to have to elevate their game. And I think that's going to be a big driving force into what this team can do, and to potentially get into an SEC Sunday game, being a top 5 seed in the tournament, things that I think are realistic expectations for the basketball program in the first year under Mark Pope.
I think we're surprised people, to be fair. There have been a lot of mixed reviews on guarding this team, and kind of like how they're going to perform, if they need like this guaranteed like kind of go-to guy, and how they're going to compete and hold up. And the way he has constructed this roster is extremely interesting to me. So obviously, first off, he focused on defense, right? That was his main focus. First 3 players, Amari, Butler, and Owe. Huge defensive guys. They can guard the ball, right? We're talking defensive players of the year for 2 of them multiple times. Like, they're built to guard the ball. And then he started bringing in the scorers, like Andrew Carr, Kobe Brea. They start bringing all these scores and these shooters. And it's interesting how he's constructed it. And everyone's like, oh, who's going to stand out? And I think there will be games that surprises people as well, right? Like, how he's going to do a starting 5, the lineups, who's going to play what. That is all up in the air still, because I think it just depends on the team we're playing and, what Mark Pope's feeling that day, or like how the players are practicing. Before it was always, okay, this is starting 5. Like, people kind of knew exactly who was going to start. And we have ideas, obviously, with this team too, but it just varies because there's so many pieces. I am so excited to watch them on the court, though, and kind of see like everything come together. He spoke to like Lamont Butler's leadership, so having that is so important, because that's gonna twofold, right? It's gonna make everyone else work harder, but it's also gonna bring the team closer together. So you have someone like that magnetic pull coming in; they're gonna all band together quicker to keep up with him and to like elevate everything. So I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, hopefully they all buy into this, like Mark Pope weird, like we're going to be silent, just kind of stare at each other and wait for someone to speak up. It's
so interesting. I love it,
be
though.
The leader.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, we've talked offline, but these like leadership reaction type things, you have to get people to buy into it. And I think for a basketball team, it's a little bit smaller, coming from a football background where the roster is a little bit bigger. You're always surprised who are the people who step up. I think I think Mark Pope probably knows who those people are going to be. I also think it's going to evolve as the season goes on, right? There's going to be people
I think it'll change. Yeah.
Their roles develop, and okay, now it's me who I'm solidified in my role, and I'm the one to kind of speak up. And then there's also going to be dudes who just actions or how they lead. They just go out there and put in work on the court.
I feel like always one of those
in the
guys.
Gym. Yeah, I think
always one of those guys who leads by example.
Yeah, I think Amari will be too. Like I think he's going to be a dude who's just going to just work, and be that guy who just can kind of grind it out on the court for you. Go do whatever you need to do. Block shots, go get rebounds. Do the things that are stats on a box score, but not necessarily go into the final score. Right. But you need those dudes to go win you a game.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So hey, we're gonna wrap up here a little bit, but I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Kenny Brooks and the women's basketball team. And I know you got some folks you're excited about on the women's team as well.
Again, Kenny came in, hit the ground running, killed it, right? Like to transplant like he did. He obviously brought Georgia Amora with him. He brought Claire Strack with him as well. So Claire was a freshman last year. She actually had to step up and play really big in their, I think it was Big 12 tournament, I believe, because their leading girl got hurt. And she was a freshman. She's 6'5". She did really, really well. So I'm excited to further see her growth. And then, he signed Clara Silva. She is 6'7". I'm going to call them the Twin Tower Claras because they're 6'5", 6'7". We've been missing the height desperately for the women's team. We've not had it for a while. And that has been a huge detriment to us, I feel like. We've had guard play, but in SEC, they're big girls, right? Like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". You have to have that height to compete in the SEC for sure. I think it's just super important. So you have them. Jordan Obi from UNC was huge as well. That was a huge get. Obviously bringing Georgia with him. And then we can't forget the two girls that stayed, right? We can't forget Cassidy Rowe and Sanaya Tyler. Those two girls stayed over. They wanted to be a part of this team. And I think what he's put together, you have shooting, you have height, you have defense. I think they're going to surprise people. Like a lot of people, UK women's team has been down for a little bit. Back-to-back 20-loss seasons. Changes had to be made, obviously. And he just came in, hit the ground running, brought some good staff over. I know he's got one person on his staff, forgot her name, excuse me, that is really good at international recruiting, which is why I think Claire Silva came over as well. Like Georgia's from Australia, I believe. So he has a really good international connections. I am very excited to see how this team does. They're going to be tough. And I think they're going to surprise people as well in the SEC and compete.
And I think he proved at Virginia Tech that he's a hell of a ball coach too. Like he's obviously can recruit well, but he's also can coach the game to a high level. And win at Virginia Tech, he's going to win at Kentucky with the resource that we have for sure. And it's exciting to have a women's team that's going to be competitive again in the SEC. South Carolina is always going to be tough. I'm curious to see what LSU brings back. They're losing a lot from a national championship team. So, I mean, the SEC is gettable even at the top, so there's a lot of turnover right now. So we could see, potentially a top three squad for the women's team in the SEC.
I think if they finish like top 5 or 6, that's a huge improvement. I think so. Top 5 or 6 for sure. Because we were bottom of the barrel for a long time. So.
Yeah. I'm all about the deep NCAA tournament run for the women's and men's team. Well, Sass, hell of a first episode. I'm excited to keep doing these. Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to get on a microphone and talk about Kentucky athletics for a long time. Bleed Blue Network giving us this opportunity to do it is pretty awesome. We got
Bleed Blue.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole team out there is awesome. And how we came together is it'll be a book to write. It'll be something they do a documentary on one day, I'm sure. But it's like,
I agree.
How in the world did these hodgepodge folks come together? We would walk past each other in Rupp Arena and just give a go Cats and then keep moving, and then never. But somehow Twitter brought us together to make this network, and it's pretty awesome. Baseball team, get yourself some rest. It's time to make a deep run. Let's get our asses to Omaha.
Yep.
And
it's time.
Yes, let's see how what we can do in the World Series. And we are recording this on Memorial Day, so I would like to thank all of the active duty and veterans, those who have sacrificed everything. For me, those people are Lieutenant Colonel Jack Simmons, Sergeant Major Joseph Rando. We have First Sergeant Wally Locks and Chief Petty Officer William Randolph. All of them had deep impacts on my life, and they are no longer with us. But they served our country in the Marine Corps and the Navy, and that's the reason why I do what I do today. So shout out to those folks, those family members who have lost folks. We thank you for your service as well. Sass, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Of course.
Quick tease. I mentioned before. I as we were recording, got a message from Mr. Ansley. Was like, hey, let's get on the podcast. Let's do it. So he's going to be on our spaces today on Twitter. Nate's going to be hosting that. And then we're going to have Ansley on the podcast. It's going to be awesome to have a
Get ready, BBN.
Let's go talk about, have Ansley talk about his journey. His fandom. We learned that he was been a Kentucky fan for a long time. What the transfer portal was like, his thing moved really quickly. So kind of different than some other folks who had kind of drug it out and had multiple visits. But just to have someone on here to talk about, who knows ball, knows Coach Pope and what he's excited for this season. And he's going to give us I'm a Kentucky fan perspective, but I'm also a Kentucky player, and give us a realistic expectation of what next season can be. So, BBN, we love you. We will be probably trying to push these out at least, one a week. And as we go through the summer and get into football season, shout out to you, Sass. Have a good one.
You too, Kyle.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Bleed Blue Network podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of Kentucky sports with us. Don't forget to stay connected by following us on Twitter at BleedBNation. Your feedback means the world to us. So take a moment to leave a review. Not only does it help us improve, but it also helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep cheering, keep listening, and keep bleeding blue.